Hello everybody, my name is Christian Latuzik. I'm a sports science major. I took this class because I'm pre-physical therapy and it is a prerequisite for physical therapy schools. I just wanted to go over a couple things I learned in this class. I just have like a rough outline here beside me. So hopefully I'll be able to impart some knowledge that I was able to learn. So a couple ways developmental psychology can be applied to my field by using Erikson's psychosocial developmental crises within programming, within how you handle certain patients or clients. I found that as someone gets older, the things that they're dealing with in their life change. For example, for prenatal and postnatal development, it's almost less to do with the infant as it is to do with the mother. So, learning how to handle or understanding the ideas of like prenatal and postnatal depression, understanding joint laxity, how that develops in women, as well as how that can lead to injury, is really important. So a fundamental understanding of the anatomy as well as like the psychological side of it is really important. Early and middle childhood, trying to make a child feel as though they are doing the work. Autonomy for children. I've never worked with kids before in like a clinical setting, but I can imagine it's very difficult as like a adult trying to work with a very young person, trying to get through to them like what they're trying to do. Trying to make it fun, I think, is really important because we can get definitely caught up in like the rigidity of like programming. So trying to make it fun by using like sports balls or familiar items or things like that. Adolescence, the big thing that I found was like the long-term athletic development model. It's kind of like a mix of like physical development and then also being able to apply psychological development with that. So prevention of injury leading to better outcomes mentally as well. So if you're someone who gets injured quite a bit, that could be because of the lack of proper programming you're going through. And that's kind of like something that I personally experienced growing up was I pulled my hamstring a few times, I pulled my groin, things like that, partly due to the way that like programming at my high school was handled in a bad way. So we do a lot of quad dominant, like thigh, like front side of the thigh dominant exercise, and almost no posterior chain strength. So I never went to a physical therapist for it because I didn't know that was really an option. And it's kind of like as a kid, you're believing the people that are in power. So I think that kind of reflects to the physical therapy side of things. Is it's very important for you to have a very strong understanding of what in this case like a teenager needs in order to properly develop and not be injured. And that goes across the board. People are looking up to you because as a physical therapist, chances are you're a doctorate of physical therapy. So understanding the weight of what comes with that is very important. Moving on to like early, middle, and late adulthood, it becomes more and more difficult to kind of, I think, maybe get through to people. Maybe it's more listening than you are teaching. You only get 60 minutes per session. So it's very important to listen and hear people out because they might be going through certain things in their life, especially in middle adulthood where they have like midlife crises, things like that. Identity crises, all those things. Then Twilight and End of Life, I thought was kind of a hard one to research about, but really it happens. It just like comes down to like changing the way that you would see physical therapy. So I found a lot of research about like at home like care. So you have your people that are physical therapists that essentially come to you. So I can see that being really beneficial for someone who's 70 plus years old who is unable to come to the clinic twice a week. That could be really beneficial. big thing I found out um, throughout this course as well is that it goes beyond the anatomy in order to um, correctly assess injury of somebody and create a proper program. Before I thought it was kind of more of like just the anatomy side of things, but it clearly is not. Most surprising thing I found a study of 40 physical therapy clinics, and only 2 of them met the criteria for accessibility for people in wheelchairs. That means that 95 out of 100 physical therapy clinics aren't totally accessible via wheelchair if you are if you're trying to think of the grand scheme of things, if this study is correct and it's cited. So that was pretty big for me. Need to have accessible places, and that kind of made me think about that more. A couple areas of interest I'd really like to keep studying is that accessibility, and maybe finding out what access means in other areas, not just for people who have wheelchairs or who are in wheelchairs. Maybe having to do with like health accessibility, so we have all this information at our fingertips, which of it is good, which of it is bad, and then finding maybe motivators for people who still can't find the motivation to work out or have a healthy lifestyle, even with all this information at our fingertips, this clear information. Final thoughts on the course. I thought it was really engaging. I really appreciated like the conversation we had about sexual assault on campus in class. I thought that was really important, and I wish other classes did that as well. And I'm glad that we didn't stick to like the rigidity of we need to do this thing this week, this thing next week, so we need to totally skip discussion. I really appreciate the emphasis on discussion over anything else. So yeah, that's really all I have to share about the class. I hope people have questions for me, but otherwise it was a good semester. Really my favorite class this semester, even though it was not even in my major. So yeah, I'm greatly appreciative of all of the conversation we were able to have, and the open discussion. So I wish everybody luck on their finals week, and hopefully this semester finishes nicely for you all. Thanks.